You are Michael Jackson, the most famous person on earth. You cannot walk into a gas station without causing a riot. You cannot sneeze without it making international news. You have been famous since you were 9 years old. And you are sitting in a movie theater, hiding, wearing a full ninja suit so nobody recognizes you. And the guy sitting next to you? Chris Tucker, laughing so hard he can barely breathe because Michael Jackson, the Michael Jackson, just got caught. Not by a fan, not by security, but because Michael Jackson has the loudest, most recognizable laugh on the planet, and he forgot to turn it off. That is the Chris Tucker effect. The man does not just make audiences laugh, he makes legends forget who they are. And today, we're breaking down exactly how one man from Atlanta, Georgia, became the only person in Hollywood who could walk into any room with any celebrity alive and completely take over. Before the $20 million paychecks, before the Michael Jackson sleepovers, before Jackie Chan was handing him gifts every single morning on a movie set, Chris Tucker was the youngest of 6 kids in Atlanta, Georgia, hiding cupcakes from his brothers and sisters before his mama even made it through the front door. That detail matters because everything about Chris Tucker, the fast talking, the quick thinking, the ability to read a room in half a second, started right there. Youngest of 6, you either learn to be funny or you get left out. Chris Tucker chose funny. He idolized Richard Pryor. He studied Eddie Murphy. And the moment he was old enough, he packed up and moved to Los Angeles with nothing but his personality and a dream that most people would have called completely insane. He started doing stand-up on the comedy circuit, and people noticed, not in a slow, gradual way, in a who is this guy and where did he come from kind of way. Because Chris Tucker on stage was not like other comedians. He was not just telling jokes, he was performing, full body, full voice, full commitment every single time. But stand-up was just the beginning. The real story starts in 1995. Friday, 1995, a small, low-budget comedy that nobody expected to matter. Chris Tucker played Smokey, a supporting character, not the lead, not the guy the movie was built around, just a supporting role in a $3.5 million film that most studios were not even paying attention to. Chris Tucker made it the most memorable thing in the movie. You got knocked the F out, a line that people are still quoting 30 years later, not from a superhero film, not from some massive Hollywood blockbuster, from a small comedy where Chris Tucker was not even supposed to be the main event. The movie made over $27 million at the box office, and Chris Tucker became the name everybody was suddenly trying to figure out. That voice, that energy, that absolute refusal to let any scene be ordinary. Hollywood came calling fast, but nothing could have prepared anyone for what came next. 1998, Rush Hour. On paper, this casting makes zero sense. Jackie Chan, a martial arts legend from Hong Kong who had been breaking bones and shattering box office records since the 1970s. Disciplined, precise, a man who treated filmmaking like a military operation. And Chris Tucker, a comedian from Atlanta who had never done a serious action film, showed up to set with zero filter and apparently could not get through a single scene without making everyone around him fall apart laughing. The studio was nervous. Jackie Chan was nervous. Here's what actually happened on day one. They sat down for a meeting to prepare for the movie. Jackie Chan barely said a word the whole time, just nodding, just listening. And the moment the meeting ended, Chris Tucker pulled the director aside and asked, dead serious, whether Jackie Chan even spoke English. He genuinely could not tell. Jackie Chan, on the other hand, had absolutely no idea what to do with this person who never stopped talking. But then, something clicked. Jackie started laughing, really laughing, the kind you can't manufacture and can't fake. And that chemistry, that completely accidental, completely unscripted chemistry, exploded on the screen in a way that nobody in Hollywood had predicted. Rush Hour made $244 million worldwide. Rush Hour 2 made $347 million. Rush Hour 3 made $225 million. Nearly $850 million across 3 films. And for Rush Hour 2, Chris Tucker was paid $20 million, making him the highest paid actor in Hollywood at that moment. When his family found out he was making $20 million a year, They all quit their jobs, every single one of them. Chris had to sit them down and explain a very important distinction. I'm rich, y'all are not rich. But the Jackie Chan stories go deeper than just box office numbers. Because on the set of the first Rush Hour, Jackie was giving Chris a different gift every single day. Every morning, a new present waiting for him. Chris was touched, genuinely moved by the generosity, until he realized Jackie was filming in Hong Kong and China, where his production company manufactured most of the merchandise. Jackie wasn't spending a single dollar. He was literally pulling gifts off his own shelves and handing them over with a smile.
And when they filmed in China, Chris Tucker was the only black person in Hong Kong, and he knew it. People had no idea who he was. They just assumed he was Kobe Bryant and started asking for autographs. Chris signed every single one of them. Now, Michael Jackson. Because this is the chapter of the Chris Tucker story that genuinely sounds like someone made it up, except none of it is made up. All of it actually happened. Chris Tucker and Michael Jackson were real friends. Not industry friends, not we nod at each other at award shows friends. Real ones. The kind where Michael Jackson personally calls you just to talk. The kind where you travel together, hang out together, and somehow convince the most famous person alive to wear a Spider-Man mask to the mall. That actually happened. They were out one day, and Michael wanted to go to the mall. Chris told him that was impossible. Michael Jackson cannot just walk into a mall. The only thing in the car was a Spider-Man mask. Michael put it on, insisted it would work, insisted nobody would recognize him. It was working. It was actually working, until people noticed Chris Tucker walking with Spider-Man and put the whole thing together. Chris, is that Michael Jackson in that Spider-Man mask? Chris Tucker's response was, no, that's Spider-Man. And the movie theater story is even better. Michael would have to sneak into theaters right before the film started, full disguise, sitting in the dark, completely hidden. But the moment something funny happened on screen, Michael Jackson had the loudest, most distinctive laugh in any room he had ever been in, completely uncontrollable. The whole disguise? Gone in about 4 seconds. Then there was the TV situation. Chris was at Neverland, casually complimenting a flat-screen television Michael had, just making conversation. Michael immediately tried to give it to him. Chris said he did not want the TV, but then, his words, the black came out of me. He started complimenting everything in sight, walked straight over to the Rolls Royce parked outside. Mike, I like that Rolls Royce right there, that new one, not the old one. Michael looked at him. You like it, Chris? Back and forth, and then Michael Jackson hit him with the full stop. Well, you better go buy one because I am not giving you my car. Chris Tucker also tried to learn Michael Jackson's dance moves. The problem was, Chris is left-handed. Every time he tried to mirror Michael, he kicked with the wrong foot. And every single time, Michael Jackson absolutely lost it laughing. These are not celebrity acquaintance stories. These are the stories of two people who genuinely made each other laugh, genuinely made each other comfortable, and genuinely looked out for each other. When Michael Jackson passed away in June 2009, Chris Tucker spoke at the public memorial at the Staples Center, in front of thousands of people and millions watching worldwide. He stood at that podium and called him his brother. There was no punchline, no performance, just a man losing someone he actually loved. Here is the thing about Chris Tucker that people sometimes miss because they are too busy laughing. This man knows literally everyone. Michael Jordan? Every time they see each other, Jordan looks down at Chris's shoes first. Every single time. Muhammad Ali once told Chris to his face, "You a funny mother, Tucker." Chris had to explain to the audience that Ali was about to say something very different before he caught himself. Prince? Chris went to his house because Prince had a full nightclub built inside his mansion, just casually. A club in his house. Stevie Wonder calls him personally. Bill Clinton invited him to Africa, specifically because Chris was doing impressions of Clinton so well that Clinton himself said it sounded exactly like him. So Clinton brought him on the trip and kept making him do the impression in front of foreign heads of state. It finally became a problem in Nigeria. Chris was terrified that if he got it wrong in front of the Nigerian president, he was going to prison. Clinton's response was basically, do it anyway. You want to ride home or not? And then there's Charlie Sheen, who let a 24-year-old Chris Tucker borrow his Ferrari just because Chris asked. No hesitation, just, sure, take the car. Chris kept that Ferrari so long that Charlie Sheen actually forgot he had lent it out, called Chris months later. Do you still have my Ferrari? I think I do. After Rush Hour 3 in 2007, Chris Tucker went quiet. No big films, no Hollywood machine, just gone. It was a choice. His faith had grown stronger, and he wasn't comfortable with certain kinds of content anymore. He turned down roles worth tens of millions of dollars because they didn't feel right. He faced real financial difficulties, tax issues that became very public and very humbling for someone who had been the highest-paid actor in Hollywood just years earlier. But Chris Tucker did not fall apart. He did stand up. He raised his son. He figured out who he was when the cameras weren't rolling. And then Kevin Hart bought a house in his neighborhood, and Chris Tucker yelled out of his car window one sentence at him. Pay your taxes, man. From the highest-paid actor in Hollywood, it was the realest advice anyone had ever given Kevin Hart. Here's what makes Chris Tucker different from every other celebrity in this story. Michael Jackson had billions of fans. Jackie Chan had decades of legendary films. Clinton had the entire world watching him, and every single one of them, every single one, became more human, more relaxed, more themselves the moment Chris Tucker walked into the room. That's not something you can learn. That's not something you can manufacture. That's just who he is. Nobody breaks celebrities like Chris Tucker. Because he never saw celebrities as celebrities to begin with. Smash that like button. Subscribe. We tell the stories Hollywood doesn't bother to explain.